The family of Rachel Morin sharing their grief during a walk to reflect on her life 2 weeks after she was found dead on the Mon Pa Trail, how they're honoring her and what we know about her suspected killer. He's a former #1 overall pick and spent the last 2 seasons with the Browns, what the newest member of the Ravens brings to the defense. And later, Mayor Brandon Scott facing tough questions from the community about the Safe Streets program. A closer look at the growing calls for transparency.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
The Hartford County Sheriff is still trying to find this man who they believe killed Rachel Morin and left her body on the Mon Pa Trail. Authorities say video shows him leaving the scene of a home invasion and assault in Los Angeles back in March. They say his DNA was found at Morin's crime scene, but they don't know his name or if he's still in the area.
He will be found. There's probably no doubt based on his existing behavior, but it can happen much quicker and there can be closure.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Vincent Hill. Today, hundreds of people gathered to honor that mother of 5. Morin's family now making a plea to her alleged killer. 2 weeks after Rachel Morin went missing and her body was found.
It's going to be a 37-year-old, number 2 female, black shorts, dark colored shirt, Rachel Morin.
The community gathering to walk in her honor.
Based on the card, I think we've pretty much checked the whole trail, correct?
On the same trail,
diaper bag, my son. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't look over my shoulder. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't know if he was reloading. I just know he emptied everything and I wasn't sticking around.
Walker turned himself in to police shortly after that shooting. He was denied bond earlier this week. He's charged with murder. He will be back in court next month. Police have identified the 3 people that were found dead inside a Towson home yesterday. Officials confirming they found 2 37-year-old adults and a 6-year-old child. The incident now believed to be a double murder-suicide. Police were called to Kenilworth Drive around noon yesterday for a check on welfare call. The family was reportedly last seen alive the evening of Tuesday, August 15th. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner will be completing an examination into the cause of death. A woman was killed in a single vehicle crash on I-70 in Baltimore County. Police say at around 2:30 this morning, troopers with the Maryland State Police found a white Honda SUV that struck a guardrail. The woman was pronounced dead at the scene. Officials have identified her as 28-year-old Maya Alicia Hall. She was the only person inside that car at the time of the crash, and it is under investigation. Baltimore police are investigating after a man was shot and killed during a car theft near the popular Canton Square. Take a look at this. Rain camera captured the moments leading up to that shooting. You can see a man dressed in black walking towards another man with a gun pointed at him. Police say Daryl Benner was helping his nephew park his car on South Curley Street when 3 armed suspects approached them, demanding their keys and cell phones. Police say Benner then pulled out a BB gun and the suspects opened fire, shooting Benner as they drove away in his stolen car. Fox 45 spoke with the victim's family, who says they're struggling to deal with their loss.
Can't believe that it actually happened. It still hasn't sunk in. I still can't believe he's gone. I just want him back. I just want to walk down in my basement and see him sitting in his chair and him saying, "Ha ha, The joke's on you. I got you, babe. That's just how he was. That's how we were. I never got to say a final goodbye. He was the most generous person. He would give you the shirt off his back. He wouldn't hurt a fly. And if he could do anything for you, he would.
Anyone with information about this deadly shooting is asked to call Baltimore police.
Well, he's a former #1 overall pick, and coming out of college, he was one of the best young pass rushers to enter the league. While Jadeveon Clowney's prime has passed, the 30-year-old, three-time Pro Bowler, he can help the Ravens when it comes to depth. Clowney practiced with the team on Saturday for the very first time since signing that one-year deal. Clowney, who spent the last 2 seasons with the Browns, totaled 65 tackles and 11 sacks in that span. With one practice down in Owings Mills, John Harbaugh liking what he sees so far.
He was quick. He looks like he's in shape. You can tell he's been working hard. He said he had, and you can see it. I thought he fit right in. You know, he's learning the defense, but, you know, I mean, how much defense is there? It's fronts and a little bit of coverage, and then he's got to learn the blitz patterns. Oh, and we do drop into coverage a lot, so I guess there is more. But he's up to it. He's played a lot of football. He's a very smart player. Very excited to have him.
Well, still ahead, Clowney's new teammates weigh in on his first practice as a Raven, including a rookie who's eager to learn from the former #1 overall pick. Vince.
All right, Rocco, thank you. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Inner Harbor on your left and Towson on the right. Looks like a beautiful night outside. I should be out there running. It was a nice day today, but Amy, will things be heating up over the next few days?
Yeah, hopefully everybody tastes that little mini taste of fall today. It felt fantastic out there. It's going to be really tough to compete with what we enjoy today, so we're not even going to attempt to. Temperatures are cool again tonight, so temperatures are dropping. We're in the upper 60s, low 70s right now. We've got this nice dry air mass in place. That means we are not dealing with humidity at all. And the dew points show that. Dew points indicate how much moisture is in the air. Lower the dew point, the drier the air. These numbers are incredibly low tonight, and they'll stay low at least through Sunday. So if you're planning ahead for the second half of your weekend, plan on something outside, maybe some ice cream. That sounds like a good way to stay cool because we will be heating back up. Now, the morning is still very comfortable with temperatures in the mid-60s to start, but by lunchtime, we're in the mid-80s, and by the afternoon, we are flirting with 90 degrees. And early next week is going to be even hotter. I'll let you know exactly how hot it's going to get and what to expect for the rest of the week in just a little bit on Fox 45 News at 10. Vincent?
All right, Amy, thank you. You can go ahead and put the power of the Weather Authority Storm Center in your hands. Download the free WBFF Weather Authority app for your smartphone and use our Doppler radar to follow storms right down to your street. Just go to your app store and search for WBFF to get started. An arrest made this week in the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting. A closer look at the suspect as we learn more about what happened that day. And Mayor Brandon Scott facing tough questions over the Safe Streets program, why some residents say they need to know how that program is spending its money. And later, GOP presidential hopeful Chris Christie taking aim at former President Trump, the comments he made surrounding Trump's relationship with Vladimir Putin. In Baltimore City, a community left frustrated as police announced an arrest in the deadly Brooklyn Day mass shooting, but no one has been charged with the two murders. So let's take a closer look at what we know so far about 18-year-old Tristan Jackson on your screen. The first suspect accused of firing shots that took 2 lives and wounded 28 others. Now, according to charging documents, police say Jackson was caught on surveillance video spraying, quote, 5 rounds in the direction of 7 unknown individuals who were fleeing. However, police are not accusing him of firing the fatal shots. He's facing more than 50 counts, which could carry up to 822 years in prison. He's facing 7 counts of conspiracy to commit murder and 7 counts of attempted murder, along with several other charges for reckless endangerment, assault, and gun offenses. Now, we asked why there was no news conference about that arrest, but didn't get an answer. When the announcement of the arrest was made, the mayor and other city leaders were in Ocean City at a conference. Fox 45 spoke with one political analyst who says he believes the mayor missed an opportunity by not addressing the arrest in person.
I think it's befuddling and tone deaf at the same time. When you have a major incident like this that occurred in Brooklyn just a few weeks ago, and where it was all hands on deck, let's figure out what's going on. The governor comes a few days later, it draws national attention, and then when there's an arrest made, no one has anything to say.
Meanwhile, the mayor facing even tougher questions surrounding his Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. Fox 45's Taylor Stewart has more.
Questions about funding safe streets,
regardless of whether or not the organization is a nonprofit,
met with fierce pushback from Mayor Brandon Scott Wednesday.
The monies that we spend on safe streets is out there for anybody to see, but what we are not going to do is allow these right-wing people to come in and try to tear down folks who have changed their life and want to make their neighborhood a better place.
The mayor's swift defense of safe streets came at a public comment meeting on Commissioner Worley's confirmation. On the other end, Baltimore resident Edie Harris defending herself after raising transparency concerns about the city's gun violence prevention program.
I'm speaking again as a taxpayer, not a right-wing media person. I do represent, or at least personally represent, a taxpayer, a homeowner, a citizen, and I think we have the right to understand and know better where and how our money is spent.
Peace Chairman Giovanni Patterson also taken aback by the comment.
And labeling anyone else, as anything other than being a concerned citizen for asking a question, shows how secretive and non-transparent the government wants to be.
He says Harris is asking a legitimate question about a program backed by millions of dollars in funding with limited information about how it operates and data on its effectiveness.
As a position of a taxpayer, it is taxpayer funds that are going to, contribute to a lot of these programs. So I do believe, from all levels of government, if you're receiving, federal dollars, state dollars, local dollars, because it is public money that you're receiving, you should be subject to the same transparency laws, as FOIA.
Right now, Fox 45 is combing through the city's contracts with Catholic Charities and LifeBridge following an open records request. The two community-based organizations are tasked with running all 10 Safe Streets locations. Mayor Scott says nonprofits are required by federal law to report how money is spent internally, providing the IRS with an annual form. But that's something Patterson says he'd like to see, along with more residents asking the tough questions.
Politics are not a set and forget process. They are set and inspect. And the tough questions that are coming from the citizens and that they're demanding answers of our elected officials, that is what's supposed to happen.
Taylor Stewart, Fox 45 News.
And residents aren't the only ones voicing concerns about transparency. Fox 45 also heard from city council members saying funding for MONSE, which oversees the violence intervention program, should be paused until we learn more about how that group operates.
Right now, I think that until we start to see transparency in data, I think that money should be held to a halt.
Fox 45 News will continue to press city leaders for transparency. Our comprehensive reporting on the questions facing safe streets is available right now at foxbaltimore.com. Coming up, former President Trump opting to skip the first GOP primary debate, what he'll be doing instead, and who's confirmed to be going. And a very special story about a boy fulfilling his dreams, how you can help him check items off his bucket list.
America's power grid under renewed scrutiny after what happened in Hawaii. I'm Scott Thuman in Washington with a look at more pressure on the federal government to improve the system.
Federal investigators are in Hawaii right now to try to determine what caused the devastating wildfires that took more than 100 lives. One possible cause they're looking at, down power lines sparking those flames. It's bringing renewed attention to America's electrical system, with many wondering, is it up to date, safe, and getting the funding it needs? Sinclair's chief political correspondent, Scott Thuman, has more.
The devastation and staggering death toll from Hawaii's wildfires being closely watched almost 5,000 miles away in Washington, including suspicions faults in the power grid sparked that blaze, and raising more concern over the rest of the nation's electrical system, just as this week residents in Texas were asked to reduce energy use to avoid strain on the system amid a heat wave.
We're underinvested by a few trillions of dollars. We're kind of coasting on a grid that we've built in the past century, and we've got a new century ahead of us with different demands.
From computers to cars, investments, he says, aren't keeping up. One report indicating we'll spend between $1.5 to $2 trillion by the year 2030 to modernize the grid just to maintain reliability. Do you think Americans should expect more blackouts?
Yes.
Does that scare you?
Yeah, it does. And it almost offends me.
Last summer, for full measure, we went to Michigan to see how the transition to wind and solar and phase out older coal and nuclear is stressing the system.
Because we don't have a technology that can store energy today, and I don't think we will in a decade.
President Biden, a proponent of going more green, just announced billions more in federal dollars for upgrades.
That funding can help ensure our electric grid is stronger,
that the lights and air conditioning and internet stay on during heat waves and storms and other climate events.
But that requires a sometimes challenging level of government cooperation.
Because the electricity sector is generally regulated at the state level, not the federal level as much, there's a lot of people who have to be in the room to make those decisions.
He says what Washington can do is force those conversations between federal and state decision makers, ease the permitting process, and there's always a need for more money. On Capitol Hill, I'm Scott Thuman.
GOP presidential hopeful Chris Christie taking aim at his fellow candidates, former President Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Christie holding a town hall in Florida, the home state of the two leading primary contenders. Christie telling voters they didn't have to stick with Trump or DeSantis, saying it was a choice between someone focused on voter issues, alluding to himself, and someone who is, quote, fending off the next criminal trial, referring to multiple indictments Trump is facing. Christie also taking aim at Trump's comments towards Russian President Vladimir Putin.
We have folks in this race who have called Vladimir Putin brilliant, a great leader, and just yesterday, Donald Trump called him that he was the apple of Putin's eye. I have to tell you the truth. I don't want to be the apple of Vladimir Putin's eye. I don't.
And Christie was back on the trail today, speaking at a conference in Georgia. Meanwhile, multiple sources are reporting that Donald Trump is expected to skip the first Republican presidential debate on Wednesday and instead do a sit-down interview with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson. It's not clear when exactly that interview will take place, but it's expected to air around the same time as the debate. Trump's advisors say, however, that he could still change his mind at the last minute and decide to attend the debate after all. So here's a look at who is confirmed to be taking part in the first debate scheduled for next week in Wisconsin. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis told reporters last week in Iowa that he has signed the Republican National Committee's pledge. That pledge is required for debates and makes the candidate agree to support whoever ends up becoming the GOP nominee. Entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy will also take part, along with former Vice President Mike Pence, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, and Senator Tim Scott. Christie has not yet signed that pledge, but he meets the other requirements.
Make no mistake, this is a very, very dangerous and significant storm.
California bracing for Hurricane Hillary, the historic rainfall expected as the state calls in the National Guard for reinforcements. And coming up next, we're introducing you to Noah, who's trying to live his life to the fullest, how his parents are helping him hit all the items on his bucket list.
And after a little break from the heat, the humidity, it all makes a comeback over the next couple of days. Doesn't last long, though. I'll explain the reason behind that quick cool down starting on Tuesday in just a couple of minutes on Fox 45 News at 10.
Well, go ahead and get the tissues out. So for the past 8 months, Fox 45's Maxine Stryker and photojournalist Ben Ott have been following the journey of a very special boy and his parents who have set out to make sure he's living his life to the fullest. And tonight's Maryland moment, a reminder to hold your children and your loved ones extra tight and cherish the moments, big and small, that you have with them.
Mommy, I'm a hold on.
Watching our children grow.
What's your name? Noah.
It happens so fast.
Let me see your teeth.
Too fast.
Let me see your happy face.
Before you know it,
Look like.
precious moments become memories.
Let me see your kissy face.
That's like baby pictures. They're really cute.
What's this one of?
From their kitchen island,
I found the jackpot in this box.
Dorsey and Marin Bohan
Look at those big blue eyes. This was like a water feature part in Disney.
are unboxing those memories of years past.
This is you. You have your pacifier. You always have the arms up. Very pleased with yourself.
Here comes a silly one.
Milestones marked by their now 10-year-old son, Noah.
And just looking at this picture, I know that's just when you used to walk around and say hi.
Oh yeah.
That's the only thing you would say.
His first word was hi, and he used it for everything. So. it was-
But these pictures
How did you take a picture of that too?
Because I took pictures of everything.
represent a different time.
Oh, it's a nice memory, but it's also hard sometimes.
It just kind of makes me sad.
All right.
Now, a reminder
Here, this is when he went home. This is his going home picture.
of what once was.
And it's hard because you look at him and you remember times when he could do different things.
Of what's been taken.
He was always a smart, very smart kid, and very happy.
Wanted to be an astronaut.
Now, now he's not gonna do any of that.
This will be all that remains one day.
By his 6th birthday, Noah had mysteriously gone blind.
He lost his vision in a matter of 9 months.
And the Bohans found themselves deep in his diagnosis of Batten disease, a rare genetic disorder affecting the nervous system.
People told me by the end of the year, everything, he lost his vision and he's diagnosed with Batten's disease nobody's ever really heard of. I would have thought you were crazy, I couldn't imagine it.
With no cure, the disease will cut Noah's life drastically short.
People with this condition will experience very severe cognitive decline and will have sort of the cognitive functioning of a very small child or baby by the end of the disease running its course. They'll rely on a tube for feeding, and it takes every single thing away. Okay, Noah, goofball.
Right now,
My froggy has a crunch on you.
Oh, thank you, Froggy.
Noah is just your average 10-year-old boy who loves nothing more than stuffed animals.
There you go, bud. I'm gonna bring it back to you.
Vintage toys, and his mother.
Oh, that's a good one.
But to stop and think moments like that are fleeting,
You're a good boy.
well, it's just not what this family does.
We can sit around and feel sorry for ourselves and lament what could have been, what should have been, and we waste the time that we have with our child. Or we can make the most out of every moment. And that's what we choose to do.
When we first sat down with the Bohans earlier this year, a big idea was just taking shape.
I'm trying to find things that I can do with him that are not going to break the bank, but give him exciting life experiences.
To give Noah the chance to experience new things now while he still can, his bucket list was born.
I put a call out on Facebook and I'm like, do you have a hobby that you would like to teach a young person who's interested? Do you? Let me know.
Where's the ice at?
First up on the list,
Where are we?
Noah laces up his skates for a private lesson.
It's cold.
It's his first time on the ice.
Why does it smell icy?
And yeah, it's cold.
Is this the ice?
With some hesitation,
I can tell that the girls are really liking it.
but little fear of what he can't see,
He's not scared at all, which is super surprising.
Noah found balance on the blades.
Good job! You're doing it. Oh, great.
And a quick snack.
How does that feel? Kind of cool, right?
This is really cool that he gets to have this experience with them.
What does it taste like?
No. And hopefully they're getting something special out of this too, and helping someone that, you know, who's maybe a little bit different.
All right! We're on the land again.
Back on land,
It's a big day.
Noah's next bucket list adventure
As he can't see, we wanted to make sure there were some things that he could experience through touch. My man.
takes him somewhere a little warmer.
You know, with animals, there's smells too.
That's how big his mouth is. Do you want to know how big his head is?
That's big.
Bigger than that.
To the rhinos,
He feels like a rock.
penguins,
Come on down this way. You feel her?
and giraffes. Oh my.
So this is romaine.
He's really eating fast.
You can feel his tongue. Did you feel it yet?
Yeah. Do you have any sugar cubes?
And I kind of go with the healthier stuff today. Yeah, sugars for dessert.
And if that wasn't enough
Do you have any hand sanitizer?
to stir the senses,
Truck 339 Martin Tahoe, show me 15 arriving traffic.
And we'll brief him on his job as a pilot for a day.
Noah's trip to the Maryland Air National Guard
I think this might be them here.
at Martin State Airport should do it.
How are you doing?
Good.
My name is Drago, and I'd like to welcome you to the 104th Fighter Squadron, bud. So you are here to be a pilot in this unit for today.
Briefed and ready for his own mission,
Stand about, update your iPads to 16.3.1.
Noah suited up.
What we'll do is we'll go ahead and go and get dressed. We got a lot of flight gear we got to put on. Make sure we're safe.
That sounds cool. And do you have a jetpack?
Look, it's going to be kind of heavy, okay?
All right.
Ready for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, put your other arm through. There you go.
There you go.
Got it?
Yeah.
And felt his way
It's pretty heavy. It's a heavy door.
There he goes.
Let's go.
Do it, dude.
through the day.
What's this do?
So that one shows you how high you are above the ground.
Cool.
His parents proudly watching as their son got an experience most little boys never will.
Oh, that is like a video game.
Yeah, but in real life.
It's great to meet you.
You made a great
See you
wingman.
next time.
We are better for having you here today, so we're happy to have you as a member of the 104th.
On Noah's journey,
Pretty awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
there were many more experiences meant by his smiling face and those big blue eyes.
It's important for people to meet Noah and know who he is, because he's a special, special child. To know him is to love him.
More moments that will soon be memories to file away for when the days inevitably become harder.
Every parent's worst nightmare. To know that you will outlive your child is a pain that I wouldn't wish on anyone.
It's not even that, it is losing your child and seeing him disappear in front of you, going through these changes. That is the worst part, and knowing there's nothing you can do to help.
But what they are doing now is making sure Noah's bucket, which may be a little smaller than the rest of ours, is just as full.
I want to make sure that we're giving Noah lots of fulfilling experiences for him to take part in, and happy memories for all of us to look back on.
Maxine Stryker.
We did everything to the fullest.
Fox 45 News.
Bye-bye.
Wow, if you did not fall in love with Noah, I don't know what to tell you. Well, if you have a fun and exciting experience you'd like to share with Noah, or a cool place to invite him to, you can send him a message on his Facebook page, Noah's Battle Against Baton. You can find a link on our website along with this story right now at foxbaltimore.com. People in the Southwest are bracing for Hurricane Hillary, which is expected to bring more than a year's worth of rain to parts of the region. The storm has sped up and is moving faster than expected, now moving at about 17 miles per hour. According to the National Hurricane Center, winds from the storm could arrive as soon as Sunday morning, bringing with it what experts are calling dangerous levels of rainfall, with California issuing its first ever tropical storm warning.
California is threatened by what could be one of the most devastating storms that we've had hit California in more than a decade. Make no mistake, This is a very, very dangerous and significant storm.
The most intense conditions are expected to hit tomorrow morning through Monday. California's National Guard has also been activated to help with the aftermath of that storm. So let's go ahead and bring in meteorologist Amy Aridison. And Amy, nothing like that here. So how are we looking for the rest of the weekend heading into the weekend?
Yeah, much like today, we're in perfect shape here. Of course, we're going to keep them in our thoughts because they're dealing with a completely different situation there. And I am going to start off on the West Coast to give you a closer look at what's happening there this weekend. There's that tropical storm warning you just mentioned. You can see that in red just off the coast of California. Everybody there also included in a flood watch. So that's the green area you're seeing. Already rain is moving in advance of that storm. So tomorrow is going to be the worst of the storm, especially for inland parts of California. So the mountains of California expecting devastating rainfall there, also some very strong winds. Meanwhile, in the Atlantic, things have suddenly blown up. It's been kind of a quiet start to the Atlantic hurricane season. Now there's several areas of concern. Yellow would be for low chances of development. Red would be for higher chances for development, and orange would be for medium chances for development. Not only do we have our eyes on a lot of different areas here out in the Atlantic, we've got Tropical Depression 6. So this is our latest update. Latest track from the National Hurricane Center doesn't show much development here, shows it kind of weakening and staying out to sea. So that's worth watching. Closer to home, we're not watching much of anything. Things are really quiet. We've got clear skies over the inner harbor, upper 60s right now, so feels fantastic. Tomorrow's going to be hotter. We're warming back up close to 90 degrees, and that heat's going to stick around for the start of a new week, along with some humidity making a return. And then our next chance for storms actually holds off until week's end. So all is quiet now. We've got high pressure here on the East Coast, and that's helping us out this weekend, sending us that nice dry airflow. Lots of sunshine today, clear skies tonight, more sunshine coming up tomorrow. Future scan shows that no real changes here. We're going to zip through your Sunday because it looks pretty quiet. I'm tracking this little cold front dropping in from the north on Monday into Tuesday, but no rain showing up along that front. The only impact it will have will be on our hot temperatures. But 2 summery days ahead of us, so if you're still itching for some pool time to wrap up the rest of summer, you've got some chances. Mid-80s ahead of us tomorrow. Monday even hotter as highs soar into the 90s, plus with humidity feeling a little hotter than that. So Monday's the hottest day out of the next 7, with highs in the mid-90s, feeling closer to the triple digits again. Doesn't last long. We are back in the mid-80s on Tuesday, low 80s midweek, and then mid-80s again on Thursday. Our really only chance for rain coming up on Friday, with a brief chance for some spotty storms. But as of now, it looks like next weekend will actually be dry and pretty comfortable with highs in the upper 80s. In just a couple of minutes, we'll take a more detailed look at the rest of your weekend forecast. Vincent?
All right, Amy, thank you. Parents, I know you're excited. It's back to school season. The events held around the state today to get the kids excited to head back to the classroom.